Hey everybody, and welcome to Autumnly at Home. Today we had the privilege of getting to go to a local strawberry patch because it is finally strawberry season and we are starting to get into the season of having all kinds of fresh produce, which I'm so excited about. This is a new farm for us. We had never actually been to this farm before. It's called Stewart Farms and it's a family run business that is a little ways away from us. However, the drive was totally worth it. The strawberries were gorgeous and huge, and it was just so much fun to get out into the beautiful sunlight and the beautiful weather because it was pretty cool this day and very windy, but that made it that much more fun to pick the strawberries because we weren't hot and sweltering heat or anything like that. Now, this is not a farm that we normally go to. The one that we normally go to, the strawberries just weren't ready yet. They said that it was another week or two before they were ready. However, that works out perfect because it allowed us to explore a new farm and shop local for farmers that just work so hard that we're so grateful for. This farm in particular, we were able to buy 2 gallons of fresh strawberries and we just sat and enjoyed them. So after we picked these and we found all of the ones that we wanted and filled our buckets as much as we could, we went ahead and paid for our buckets, sat under that big tree that you see there in the background, and just snacked on about half of them. So out of 2 gallons, we ate almost half of them before even taking them home, which is completely fine because we love eating them fresh. They go very quick at our house, and I was able to bake some, which I will show you here in a little bit. We were going through the strawberry patch and we were picking our strawberries. My 2-year-old, I kept turning around, and every time I turned around, she had another strawberry in her mouth. And I know these farmers work so hard to grow these strawberries. I did not feel right about filling up our buckets. So when we got to the strawberry farm, they have a picture of what your bucket can look like when you leave and you pay for it. And these were, I believe, $15 a bucket for a gallon of strawberries. And when you take them up to pay them, you're allowed to have them mounded up as long as you can lift the metal handle. And I decided instead of doing that, I was just going to leave like a good bit of them off just because I know my kids snacked as we went, and I just didn't feel right about taking that from the hard-working farmers. So we did it that way. I paid for our buckets, and we were able to bring them home. And I got so inspired with the strawberries that I decided to just have fun in the kitchen, and I figured that this is something that I could share with you guys, and maybe it would inspire you as well to utilize the ingredients that you have to just make fun things in the kitchen. So this is a sourdough loaf of bread. You don't have to do sourdough. It can be an artisan loaf of bread of any sort. You can do flour, yeast, whatever it is that you happen to have. If you have sourdough, use the whatever recipe that you have. And all this is an artisan standard loaf of bread. I can put in the comments section, I believe this is the Ballerina Farms version, but you can use I think it's Farmhouse on Boone. She has a great recipe as well. I will post hers down in the description so you have it in case you want to use it. And then Becky from Acre Homestead has a great rustic loaf of bread that's not sourdough that can also post in the description. That way you have options to choose from. But this is just a fun thing. So go look up those recipes, and all I did after I did all of the folds, I added these ingredients. I stretched it out on the counter before the very last rise, and added homemade strawberry jam that I was able to can last year that we are using up. The jam is a little more liquidy than it's supposed to be, which is something I'm hoping to rectify this year and do better at. So again, practice makes perfect. And I believe I made the jam before I actually started filming on YouTube and started this channel. So that's something that we can do together, is practice again and try to make the jam even better this year. 2 years ago, I made it and it turned out fantastic. This past year, it did not turn out as jam-like as it's supposed to. It was a little more liquidy than I would have liked. It still tastes fantastic, and this is a great way for me to use it up, is to put it in this sourdough loaf. So I spread that on there. Now I'm cutting up fresh strawberries to put on there, and all I did after this was follow the same instructions as the recipe of baking it in the oven, and it turned out beautiful. It was so fun to be inspired by this, and it gave me so many other ideas of things I could also mix into the different loaves and make them into dessert loaves or breakfast loaves. This one was a great one for breakfast because it already had the strawberry jam in it that we made last year. So I was really excited about this, and I hope it inspires you guys as well. I put the Dutch oven in the oven to let it preheat with the oven to 425 degrees. And then while that was heating up, I let this do a last rise for about 30 minutes, put it in the oven and let it bake for 25 minutes with the lid on and 15 minutes with the lid off afterwards. And it turned out beautiful, and it was gorgeous on the inside and the outside, which I was really excited about. My husband came home and actually was really excited about this one as well. And when I was describing to him what I was inspired to do and what was in this loaf of bread, he gave me a great suggestion that I actually wanted to really try next time, which is to also add cream cheese. So that's going to be my next goal, is to try the same thing that I just did, but with maybe a small layer of cream cheese, and see how it turns out. But he's excited about that one, and so he's anxiously waiting for me to try the one with cream cheese because he loves anything that has a similar flavor to cheesecake. Cheesecake is one of his favorite desserts, so I will try that one next and let you guys know. After my kids and I had fun taste testing this strawberry jam sourdough loaf of bread, it was time for us to get out into the garden. I really needed to plant some green beans and tomatoes on this day. We live in a garden zone 8A/7B. We are kind of on the line of both of those zones, and so still trying to figure out the timing of when best to plant certain vegetables or herbs or the different variety of things is kind of tricky, and it's not something we're probably going to nail down just in one year. So trying to practice each year and get a little bit better about timing of things. And right now my kids have been begging to help me in the garden and help plant the seeds for the tomatoes and the green beans. If I'm going to be completely honest, I really wanted my kids out in the garden with me, and I want them to learn with me, and I love spending this time with them. However, just being in full disclosure, we struggled on this day. I really struggled having them out there, and the fact that we haven't planted that many plants, and one kid I turned around was standing on the few carrots that have popped up and squishing them. The next kid I turned around, my 2-year-old, had dumped the entire bag of seeds of tomato seeds out into the grass, and so we were able to still plant some. However, I'm sure we're probably going to have some tomato plants popping up in our grass as well. At the same time, another one, we had planted the green beans, turned around and she was digging them up again. So I'm not really positive that all the green bean plants are going to pop up where we originally planted them. I'm trying to give myself grace. I'm trying to give my kids grace because I love having them in the garden, but just having that full disclosure with you guys that it's not always easy having your kids in the garden. And if you are a mama that is trying to work with your kids and allow them to be in the garden, give me a thumbs up down below. Let's encourage each other and encourage our kids to want to learn, but also encourage ourselves to. It's okay to have moments that you just might need to take a deep breath and give yourself grace, give them grace. It's hot outside, and we are all just trying to learn together. And again, I'm so thankful that they want to be out there, and I have to stop and pause and remind myself that there's going to come a day where they may not want to spend this time with me, and so I really want to soak up this time that they are begging to spend with me and to learn from me, and that we can actually learn this together, and I can try to teach them as I'm learning it too. This is a bin of the potatoes that we had rescued recently, and I will link on the end of this video the gardening video that we did all of this original gardening in. However, these were the potatoes that started to show sprouts and tubles in my pantry, and we were trying to rescue them, and look how beautiful they are. They are growing, and even since I filmed this, they've pretty much doubled in size. So they are definitely healthy. They are loving where they are, and I don't know how many potato spuds we're actually going to get because I know I put way too many potato sprouts or the tubles in here, and I was just trying to use what I could because what I originally had planned to do wasn't working out. So I wanted to make sure I tried to save these and rescue them. And once we got these in here and they started sprouting, I noticed that the water, anytime it rained, it was kind of packing down the soil, and some of the the potatoes were sticking out of the dirt. And so I wanted to put another layer of soil on top of this, which is what they recommend anyway, even if you're doing them in the ground and in raised beds. Once they start growing, they recommend that you kind of mound them up again a little bit underneath, and that way they hopefully will sprout even more potatoes for you. So that's what we're doing here, is trying to make sure that we add that soil and that all the potatoes are completely covered up. And like I said, even since filming this, I went back out to water them the other day, and they have already doubled in size even since this video. So I'm really excited to see that, and we will see if we get anything. If we don't, it was just a fun experiment that we did with the kids, that we were trying to save the potatoes. And if you've watched the videos in the past, if you haven't, that's fine. I will link it on at the end, and you can go ahead and look back at those videos. But if you watched the video in the past, I explained that we live in the suburbs, so there's only so much space that we can use because I can't plant anything in our backyard because my dog eats absolutely anything that we try to plant back there. The only thing I'm trying to plant right now in a GreenStalk in the backyard are lettuce and herbs, and maybe some peppers if they pop up. But other than that, and they're hot peppers for the most part, so I don't think that they will mess with them, but time will tell. Other than that, we have this side of our house, so we're just trying to utilize any space possible. And again, want to encourage you guys, if you live in the suburbs, just use what you can, as long as your HOA is okay with it, which ours is completely fine with this. It's not a problem. We are trying to utilize the space we have. These are the garlic plants that we planted back in November, and we're testing to see. I wanted to pull one or two because it's about time for them to be able to come up. I wanted to pull them to see if they were ready, and once we pulled them, I realized that none of them were bulbing. So we pulled two, and neither of the ones that we pulled had a garlic bulb on the end. So I, to say the least, was slightly disappointed. However, again, this is all experimenting, and we are having fun with this together. So what my plan is to leave them for a couple more weeks and just see what happens. I seriously doubt that we are going to get any sort of bulb on these within the next couple of weeks. So my plan is, when I pull them up, to maybe make the stalks into pesto. And I'm told that that is acceptable way to utilize the garlic, and that those stalks that you can see right beside me to the left or to the right, those are the garlic stalks mixed with a couple of flowers that never got taken out of that bed that I thought I had grabbed. But we'll leave the flowers, and I'll just pull up all of the garlic bulbs. If you happen to already know why these did not bulb up, please write down in the comments below. I would love to hear your feedback. I believe it's because of the soil. I don't think that I gave them enough room to bulb up. I think that because the flower bulbs were still in there, I thought I had gotten most of those or all of them, and there was still a decent amount in there, as well as the red clay. I think maybe I should have tilled it a little more or loosened the clay and mixed it with a little more soil to try to give them more nutrients. But again, give me your feedback below. If there's a specific reason that you already know that's a simple fix, let me know, and that way when I go to plant garlic next year, I can try to fix that. Here you see my son planting the green bean seeds, and we're going to put a trellis in between these two rows. Now, again, my daughter, when I turned around, started digging these up, so there could be a couple of random seeds that prop up somewhere else other than where we planted them, but that's okay. I will just try to steer the green beans towards the trellis and try to still get them to climb up. These are not bush beans. These are climbing beans where you have to trellis them up. You can do green bean bush beans, just depends on the variety that you buy. You have to look at the packaging and that will help you know which ones you bought. Last but not least, I am planting my Roma tomato plants. Even with my daughter pouring out pretty much the entire package, I was able to salvage about 14 seeds or so because there are so many little seeds in one package. I was able to rescue at least 14 of them. So I'm hoping that these germinate and germinate in the correct spot and we're able to get 14 Roma tomato plants growing, which would be awesome because I can utilize that to make all kinds of recipes here at the house. We utilize a lot of tomato sauce, as well as I would love to try to make some salsa this year, and we'll just see what pops up and what grows. But we were able to get everything watered and buttoned up for this weekend. I just want to say thank you so much for joining me here at Autumnly at Home. I appreciate you taking time out of your day. Please like, subscribe, and share, and I hope to see you guys next time.